Hello team, just stopping for a few minutes to have a break at work. Got my ecoasia.com shirt on, but I just wanted to briefly touch on some of the events happening around the world at the moment. It's quite interesting. There's a lot of different things happening around the world which are not getting any or very little coverage by the mainstream media, which is, it's very unfortunate because all these events are culminating around some similar causes. Basically, the neo-fascist elite business ideals that these governments have implemented over the last, well, they've always been there for a few decades, but they've really pushed them, or what's culminated in their intensity is the adoption of technology. But there's a lot of awareness that they cannot hide now. For example, we've had the recent climate marches. Also, there's a massive war on plastic, and that comes about because China has refused to take any more of the plastic which was dumped on them, or which they bought too, which they saw as a business opportunity over the last few decades. That's all finished now. So now there's this massive awareness that we need to stop using plastic. So there's that happening. There's also a massive decline in the auto industry. The auto industry has no strategy. I don't care what car you like, Ferrari, McLaren, any of these top-notch brands, they do not have a business model going into where the economy is heading or what the demand is. The statistics are bringing that out. There's less and less young people getting licenses. They don't want to, they're already burdened with debt or student debt and things like that, and they don't want to buy a car. Governments have made it harder with their non-conformity to environmental demands, basically by allowing cars to just keep polluting everywhere, is the reason, or the lack of sustainability is the reason why the economy will stall. There's no strategy. People don't want to anymore support industries or businesses which they know in the long term will harm them or their children. And this has come about basically because of these governments. These governments have refused to adopt sustainable practices into the business models. They have let industries run amok, particularly the auto industry. The auto industry is looking at electric cars or sustainable cars as some kind of fashion token. Well, what's going to happen soon in the economy is their reluctance to adopt quickly enough is one of the reasons why there is a dramatic decrease in the sales cars figures. Dramatic loss in Australia here, for example. Sales have dropped around 50% in the luxury car industry. They just do not have a strategy to keep up with what the consumer demands, and this is because governments have let industries and corporations determine the factors. Now, I'm one for letting a free market to a certain extent, but the economy needs guidance, and there is no guidance anymore. Because all these governments now are just serving the banks, and that's quite obvious now. There's an effort to stimulate the economy in two areas: the banking industry, lending, and big development, building, commercial, and that construction, that kind of thing. They're the only two things that governments are interested in, but the economy needs to be drastically diversified. It should have been done 20 years ago. But what's happened in Australia primarily is this reluctance to listen to the people. Basically, that's what it is. The people said this is the kind of economy, this is where we want to head, and the government has fought their own people in every area, from banking inquiries to every area. but primarily in the area of sustainability. So I just wanted to have a little rant about that. Also, look at all the turmoil around the world. There's marches everywhere. Russia had a massive protest march. France, the yellow vests movement is still going. Hong Kong, Peru, Egypt. Now these are all like little tremors, but basically they're caused by these neo-fascist banking elites who want to run the economy in the old-fashioned way. But we're going to move forward, and regardless of what they want to do. In America, there's a massive movement towards the left, because people are starting to see that these pro-corporate business conditions aren't helping anyone. They're not helping small business. They're not helping workers. They're not helping the environment. And basically, yeah, it's the governments that are holding us back. And as I was saying to someone recently, when children become the moral voice in your society, that's a huge warning sign as to the way things are going. So I'm talking about the climate marches and things like that. But there's also other areas of environmental concern, protests happening with the extinction mark, and there's indications that will ramp up into more disobedience. And basically, I feel like here in Australia, the establishment media and the government want to take on their own people. As the Britain influence declines, the government here is trying to maintain a colonialist, authoritarian sort of attitude towards them. That's fine, but you've got to have the guidance and wisdom to draw a path so that people can put faith in that. But here, the government is basically saying they want to take the people on. They're increasing their police. I see police everywhere. They're increasing their own involvement in areas of influence that they shouldn't be in. They've got more government interest. The revolving door in the government here is increasing from government to private corporations. In the past, over 20 years ago, people didn't know about this thing, but now everybody knows that these ministers are involved, these government members are involved in businesses, and people don't like it because they know that they're compromising their decisions based in their own favour, and the people are getting sick of it. Anyway, you might have some news in your part of the world that you want to discuss. So feel free to put them in the comments after this video. Anyway, take it easy and make eco fun. Bye.